If I could have you all please stand as our honor guard brings the flags. Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to treat this like a church service, so you can now sit for a minute, and then we'll have you stand back up. At this time, we'd like to have our recipients enter the room, please. So on behalf of the Santa Barbara Citizens Council on Crime, I'd like to welcome you all here. I'm Bob Hart, and part of our group is Daryl Scarry in the back corner, and Jane Grand. Now, Jane Grand is somebody very special that 55 years ago, she became a widow when she was married to H. Thomas Guerry. So I'd like to bring her up just to say hi and introduce someone else very special.
Thank you all for coming. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a long time. I do have somebody special to introduce you to, and that is Tom Guerry's daughter, Diane. Diane Leonardo lives in Clovis, California, and with her today is her husband, Vince Leonardo. Please welcome him. We're kind of all a law enforcement family. Vince put in about 29 years on the Clovis PD, and Diane's has been, they're retired now, believe it or not. Yep. And Diane put in about 30 years in education. So thank you all for coming. It's a pleasure to be here, and a special thank you, please, to Bob Hart. He does this all for us. Thank you.
This is so fun. We have a motorized device here. We've never had this before. So Jane and I would go, oh, no. So we got that. I'd also like to just, recognize a few folks from the political realm that have come out to help honor our recipients today. We have with us Gina Fisher, the Chief of Staff for Supervisor Hartman. And they have some nice certificates that will be going along with the plaques today. We also have from the county, I've got it right here. I thought I had it right here. Roy Lee, Supervisor. Thank you, Roy. The Mayor of the City of Santa Barbara, Randy Rouse. City Council Member Kristen Snedden. And City Council Member Mike Jordan. Anybody else feel like they're important enough that I should introduce you? Actually, I mean, did I miss anybody that just came into the room? No, all right. All right, well, today's awards are very special in that we are dealing with the cream of the crop of law enforcement in Santa Barbara County. That to be the recipient of the H. Thomas Guerry Award, whether it be for valor or superior performance, really means these officers are standing out amongst their peers. It is a tremendous honor that we have to be able to honor them. So we will get right to that, and I'd like to call up from the Santa Barbara Police Department, Chief Kellyanne Gordon, with our first presentation for Officer Shanice Fisher.
I almost feel like I need to play with this podium just because I can, but I won't. So first, I just want to take a moment. You know, this award started because of a Santa Barbara police detective. And it doesn't matter how long it's been. I was, looking back in 1970 is a long time ago, but it also just seems like a blink of an eye, especially for those that were here and part of that. So I just want to, acknowledge that. And this remains, the Guerry Award remains the most esteemed honor for any officer in this entire county. And I really want to acknowledge that. I want to recognize the members of Tom's family who come back and join us. And it's really special that you could be here this year. And preserving that legacy and what he did for our community, and now recognizing our future generations and what they do in our community.
Can I interrupt?
You sure can.
You can tell I started well today, right? We've got one more, and that is the Honor Guard was supposed to actually come post the colors and we do the Pledge of Allegiance. So we would like to do that right now. So if you would all please stand again. Thank you.
Okay.
First time.
It just means we're all human. It's all good.
And uniform personnel. Up and breathe and ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Uniform personnel. Order. Halt. As they go out, I'd like to thank Edward Casper of the Santa Barbara Police Department and Steve Lopez of the District Attorney's Office for volunteering their time to be our color guard today. Thanks, guys. Chief, it's back to you.
So, as I was saying, this is a really special time and a really special award, and it's an honor that I get to be here as the chief to recognize the outstanding work of the men and women of our department. So, I'm going to start with Officer Fisher. She was hired by Santa Barbara Police Department in March of 2020, worked as a patrol officer. Currently, she's a crime scene investigator and a member of our crisis negotiation response team, which that's what I want you to most remember about that as I go into what she did and why she's standing before you today. So on January 24th of 2025, she assisted units on a suicidal subject. For those of you who know the Douglas Preserve, that's a huge area, overlooks the beautiful ocean side. But when she heard the request for a suicidal subject at the preserve, she sensed the gravity, her role as a crisis negotiator, and responded to the scene. She was actually one of the first to be on scene. When she got on scene, she saw the subject's vehicle near the entrance. Together with Officer Hank, began searching for the distressed individual. They ultimately found him sitting on the edge of the cliff. The male was emotional, clearly suffering from mental health crisis. And as you know, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's fitting that we're talking about this at this time as well. And without hesitation, she began dialogue. She used that great CNRT training and started establishing rapport and trust with him. The male moved closer to the edge, got increasingly agitated, but she remained calm, did not quit, continued trying to help him lower his defenses, which she was successful at. At a critical moment, she gained enough of his trust to allow her to put a blanket over his shoulders. And this act was what caused him to back away from the cliff. Her patience, empathy, composure led to a safe resolution in a situation where the outcome could have been far different. This is what we really, part of our culture and part of our mission in the department, this is really that proud moment where all that training and experience all comes together. She ultimately, and her human touch and that compassion and that empathy, in my opinion, saved this man's life. This was exceptional work by Officer Fisher, reflection of our value on our crisis negotiation, but all of the extra time and training that goes into that. For us, CNRT is a collateral duty that is voluntary. So this is something that she does because she's passionate about it. So with that, I'd like to present to her her award for superior performance.
Thank you, Chief. If you stay up here for a second, we've got two more of your fine officers. If we can have Sergeant Thomas Van Eyck and Officer Madison Trevino please come forward.
So I'm going to start with Sergeant Van Eyck. He began his career in law enforcement in 2008. He served several years on patrol. He was part of our community action team, completing 2 assignments in the unit. Over the years, he's served as member of our SWAT team, including sniper, team leader, and various others. In February of 25, I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to promote him to the rank of sergeant. Today, he's a patrol supervisor and an active member of our peer support team. Officer Madison Trevino joined the police department in March of 2020, following her graduation from UCSB. She spent the last 5 years in patrol and most recently as a crime scene investigator. So now we're going to talk about why they're here. On July 15th, 2024, at 11 in the morning, which is typically when we don't think of the critical call coming in, that's what we talk about. Anytime you have to be ready because you never know. Our dispatch center received a 911 call regarding a subject with a firearm. The witness saw the male walking down the sidewalk with a firearm in his hand. The male was in the area of Anapamu and Delavina, and he was then seen tucking that gun into his waistband. The serious call for service, as you can imagine, that's when you hear the sirens and significant police response. We flooded the area looking for the armed suspect. The officers had a limited description of the suspect and last known area where he had been seen. Sergeant Van Eyck was the officer at the time of this incident. He was the one responding. He turned down the alley, and as soon as he did, he saw a subject matching the description, walking towards him. Being a veteran officer with 16 years of experience, he chose to contact the suspect in a non-threatening manner to try and de-escalate the situation because at the time he did not see a firearm. His experience showed he remained calm while talking to the suspect. In response, the suspect stopped and actually talked and engaged with Sergeant Van Eyck. His contact, clearly, there were a lot of officers coming in, and Officer Trevino was one that arrived to assist him. As she approached, the suspect realized now he's at a disadvantage, and he decided, well, I could either stand or run, and he chose to run. The suspect fled on foot. Sergeant Van Eyck and Officer Trevino gave chase. The foot pursuit was short, but extremely dangerous, as you can imagine. Ultimately, they were able to take the suspect to the ground, and they gave clear commands to him as they controlled him on the ground. They maintained communication, positioned themselves in advantage with the suspect face down, and waited for backing officers. Maintaining physical control, and then once they had sufficient units, when they were able to handcuff and search him, they recovered a loaded 9mm handgun from his waistband. It was later learned that the suspect was previously convicted of a previously convicted felon. He resisted and fled because he didn't want to go back to prison. The suspect was in clear danger to the community and the responding officers. They did an outstanding job in the face of great danger. They demonstrated courage, professionalism, and resolved this call in a way that did not result in an officer-involved shooting. A dangerous felon was taken off the street. A gun was recovered. And for that and their actions, that's why they're being recognized today for superior performance.
Thank you, Chief. I don't know if you noticed as they walk by with their plaques, they also get a uniform ribbon that they wear underneath their badge. And it's forever, they will be known as a Guerry Award winner. It means a lot, especially when they're with people from other agencies, because someone from the Sheriff's Department will say, oh, what year did you get yours? And they'll start talking about it and different things. So it's something that has a lot of value to it, and so I do have these for sale after. I don't, but I should maybe. All right, at this time I'd like to bring up the District Attorney for Santa Barbara County, John Savernock, and Senior Deputy District Attorney, Austin Ingalls.
Jane, Diane, I can't thank you enough. Your loss, your pain has manifested itself into the greatest honor that law enforcement officials in Santa Barbara County can receive. And Vince, we spent some time together in the San Joaquin Valley. Thank you for being a part and keeping Diane connected to the law enforcement community, obviously displaying her love of her father and what he meant. A little bit about Senior Deputy District Attorney Austin Ingalls before I get into his accomplishments in the last year. The District Attorney's Office plays an essential role in the criminal justice system. But the attorneys in the DA's office don't have the same response. They don't jump in when somebody's life is in danger. They don't respond to an armed suspect or necessarily protect somebody who's in immediate danger. The equivalent that we have to jumping into the fire, to putting yourself in front of either danger or a situation that needs a response, is Austin. When a case comes into the office, when we read the reports, when your agencies and department call us and tell us that there has been a serious case, a homicide, Austin's response is, can I have the case? Austin's response isn't to run away when it's difficult or it's emotional or it's heartbreaking or the public is at risk. What Austin does is ask for or demands that he be involved in that. He wants to support the public. He wants to support the officers and deputies that work so hard to protect the public. And that's who he is and what he does. And last year, he evidenced that. He spent the better part of last year in 2 homicide trials. In one, a Navy veteran was shot for no reason by somebody who was motivated by hate and animus towards the individual solely because of his race. And Austin demanded that that veteran receive justice. He went to trial on this case. He utilized the officers. He utilized the law He utilized his own skill to connect with those 12 people in the jury to make sure that justice was done. And if that wasn't enough in this very emotional, difficult trial, while he is making his closing arguments in one trial, he is picking a jury in another homicide trial. A trial where a homeless individual was stabbed. And we all know how cases involving the unhoused can be very difficult because there often aren't sober or aware or even available witnesses there to support the prosecution, to support the arrest, to support the investigation. But this individual who perished through no fault of his own, Austin didn't let his life circumstances interfere, and he didn't let the difficulties in the case interfere with his desire to make sure that a murderer was held responsible for what he did. And all this coming on the heels of another case. With Austin, it is never, I'm too busy. It's, is it significant? Is it important? Is the public at risk? Does somebody need to be held accountable? And if so, give me the doggone case. So for this and so many reasons, it is my pleasure to give Austin the award for superior performance.
So we have an unusual one now. I'd like to call up Captain Michael Logie of the California Highway Patrol to present an award to himself.
I'm not awesome. No.
I think he'll explain what's going on.
Before I start, on behalf of Commissioner Guerry, I would just like to echo the previous sentiments about this award and what it means to our department as well as for everybody else here. So thank you for that opportunity. Our awardee for our local Santa Barbara area station is Victor Sanchez. And as a state agency, our testing process requires us to travel throughout the state. So he can't be here because he's currently testing for sergeant and he has to do an oral interview in Pasadena. So that's why he's not here. But I'm going to receive this award on his behalf and share a little bit about him with you and why we selected him for a Superior Performance Award. So Vic graduated from our academy in 2007. He's been to numerous places. He worked in San Luis Obispo, Monterey, Santa Maria, and then finally reported to Santa Barbara in 2018. Throughout his 17-year career, Vic Sanchez has assumed numerous duties: road patrol, obviously, field training officer, officer in charge, protective services detail, child seat technician, public information officer, human trafficking liaison, and L Protector program coordinator. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. You can see a clear theme about giving and engaging with the community just based on his duties, and you'll see why. Officer Sanchez is dedicated to our mission in the community, and over the years, Vic's professional demeanor, excellent judgment, and willingness to help others has earned him the respect of his coworkers and management. And because of that, he was selected by his peers to be our Officer of the Year, and management wholeheartedly agreed with that selection. Vic's a selfless team player. He's an established leader who assumes our role of officer in charge. Our department is not very large at the individual station level, so we rely a lot on experienced officers to be supervisors in the field in the absence of sergeants. That requires a lot of responsibility, the willingness to take on that responsibility, make good decisions, and to take care of the troops that you're responsible for in the community. So he embraces that role, and we trust him for that, and he's a trusted member of our supervisory team. He's also a field training officer, and if anybody's ever had to train anybody, especially in a job like this, it's a pretty tough gig at times. Sometimes you have people that get it, and sometimes you don't. And at the same time, trying to take care of the community, he's always embraced it. He's always said, give me the tough ones. Give me the ones that need remediation. Give me the ones that need extra work. I will help them along and do the best I can so they succeed. He's also a member of our Protective Services detail where, based on good judgment and excellent driving skills, he's hand-selected to work these details to protect dignitaries and do mission support for safety of these dignitaries. And due to his efforts and the efforts of his teams, he's constantly recognized by the protectees and by the leadership team for his efforts. So he's still on the team, so he's doing something right, all right? As a car seat technician, he volunteers his time to make sure that car seats are installed. If anybody has children, you kind of know what that is like, trying to put one of those things in, you throw your back out, you're trying to figure out how to keep it crooked, does it go front, does it go back? He volunteers his time, he works at Cottage Hospital to make sure that these events and these details go in, and he makes sure he supports the community in that regard. The one thing that I'm most proud of Vic over this last year is based on his heritage. Vic is an immigrant from Mexico. He immigrated legally into the United States back in 2007. He was 20 years old. The man, through grit and determination, started from the bottom through entry-level jobs. He ended up becoming a chef and owning and operating his own restaurant. It's that kind of determination that really kind of embodies who he is. He then decided to come and work for the Highway Patrol, which he has done obviously since 2007. Excuse me, 2000, yeah, that's right. So one thing he has done is that he single-handedly, we have this El Protecto program in our community, and that program focuses on bringing traffic safety education and to the Spanish-speaking public. This program facilitates extensive interactions with the Hispanic community by recognizing and respecting cultural and language differences. Vic has expanded this program to provide other education and recruiting efforts. He performs many presentations to include radio talk shows, recruiting events, and traffic safety and human trafficking awareness to educate and unite diverse communities. Vic's unwavering commitment to our community and these efforts that I just spoke of, but just a small sample of his body of work and why we selected him this year to be our Superior Performance Award winner. Thank you.
Too bad Victor's not here. Sounds like a great guy, doesn't he? So I hope he does well on the sergeant's test. We do too. Yeah? All right. At this time, I'd like to bring up my new best friend, the chief from the Lompoc Police Department, who's been doing a great job of keeping me in line today, Chief Kevin Martin, and Detective Kayla Horton.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here. This award means it's an honor for our officers to be recognized in this manner. And when chief executives look at our staff, not anybody just gets to be recognized. It means that much to us. So for all of our departments, a lot of thought and time is put into who the recipients are. So this year, our awardee is Kayla Horton. I'm proud of Kayla. Kayla started her career as a dispatcher for our department many years ago. She put herself through school while doing her role as a dispatcher, obtained a bachelor's degree. Kayla relocated to the East Coast, well, not really the East Coast, but Minot, North Dakota. And in her time there at Minot, she was hired by their police department, went through their academy, graduated, and was a patrol officer for them for a number of years. She was ready to come back to the sunshine and reached out to us, and I was absolutely happy to have her come back to us as a police officer, and we got her through the transition academy. And in that time, she's also obtained her master's degree. So thank you, Kayla, for coming back. So I'm proud to nominate Detective Kayla Horton for the 2025 H. Thomas Guerry Superior Performance Award. Over the past year, her work has consistently demonstrated initiative, effectiveness, and a strong commitment to public safety. Detective Horton's performance in 2024 has been exceptional. She's played a key role in a gang-related shooting investigation, authoring a search warrant for a suspect vehicle and volunteering to take over as the primary investigator. Her leadership and follow-through led to 2 arrests and the recovery of a firearm, an outcome that had a direct impact on the safety of our community. Her caseload has included some of the department's most challenging and sensitive investigations. She's led 2 extensive child sexual abuse material cases, each involving approximately 30,000 images and videos. As a result of her hard work, both suspects were arrested. One has already pled guilty. These cases require precision, patience, and perseverance, all of which Detective Horton brings. Detective Horton also conducted over 40 child forensic interviews this past year. She was the lead investigator in an attempted murder child abuse case, resulting in the suspect's arrest and pending prosecution. These cases are emotionally demanding, but Detective Horton approaches each with professionalism, precision, and care. She authored 25 search warrants and 4 arraignment warrants in 2024 alone. She's often the first to step up when a warrant needs to be written, and her work is consistently thorough and efficient. Her communication with outside agencies is seamless, and she is recognized as someone who can be relied upon in multi-agency operations. LPD officers regularly seek her guidance when their cases overlap with her areas of expertise, and she remains a trusted and accessible resource throughout the department. Detective Horton exemplifies what this award represents: superior performance, initiative, and integrity in law enforcement. Her contributions have strengthened investigations and community trust, and we're proud to submit her for this well-deserved recognition.
So now, representing the California Highway Patrol's Buellton office, we can bring forward Lieutenant Jason Bronson and Officer Jason Green.
Good. Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Before I begin, I will shamelessly plagiarize the sentiment that's been given before, but I think it's worth stating. Thank you so much for your continued love and support of law enforcement despite your loss and your sacrifice. Thank you so much to the Citizen Councils on Crime for this opportunity to recognize our employees who serve with excellence and distinction. So we appreciate that beyond words. With that, please let me introduce Buellton CHP's winner of Top Performer, Officer Jason Green. Forgive me, we share the same first name. It's always weird to say your own first name. But Jason is a 13-year veteran with the Highway Patrol, broke in LA and finally escaped to beautiful Santa Barbara about 8 years ago, and has spent the last 4 in the Santa Ynez Valley in the Buellton shop with us. I've had the pleasure of working with Jason for about 18 months now, and when the nominations for awards came along, there wasn't even a second thought. Why Top Performer? Oh, unfortunately, I don't bring you an exciting story of a single incident, just a officer, a man, Jason, who works every hour of the day, 365 days a year. Doesn't matter rain or shine, he comes in at the end of a rain day, dripping water. You know he's been out there serving. He comes in at the end of a summer day, he's dripping water, and you wonder what the weather was actually like out there. But because he's out there working hard. Throw out a couple numbers here, what Top Performer means in the Santa Ynez Valley, and before anyone chuckles, I want to remind you that it's not metropolitan, all right? But about 1,200 contacts during the course of the year, and if anyone's ever asked themselves when they're getting their doors blown off driving up and down 101, where are the chippies? You're probably not around 154, because you'll see his car there either on a stop or waiting to see those speeders. 700 of those were speeding citations. So excellent work over the course of the year. The mission of the California Highway Patrol is very straightforward. Provide the highest level of safety, service, and security to the people of the state of California. Jason embodies that. How do I know? 1,200 contacts and not a single phone call for complaint. So I appreciate that. On our way down here, Jason told me he was afraid he wasn't going to make it. He was a little worried this morning because his daughter hid his keys. She didn't want Daddy to leave. And I thought, man, that is the most adorable story. And then I thought, that's a great idea. How do I get a couple more hours of work out of Jason every day? Where are those keys? All right. But thank you, Jason, for your outstanding work. Appreciate it, making a difference out there on the highway.
Thank you.
All right, if I could bring up Under Sheriff Bonner from the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, along with 3 recipients, Detective Ruben Esparza, Sergeant Daniel Coley, and Detective Matthew Maxwell.
Thank you. I will also repeat that thanks to the Citizens Council on Crime and the Guerry family. This is just an awesome tradition, bringing attention to the heroics and the hard work of our county's law enforcement officers and keeping that Guerry name alive. And I just really appreciate all that you do. So we're here recognizing the superior performance of 3 of the Sheriff's Office finest investigators, all of whom worked tirelessly to bring justice on behalf of an elderly Montecito woman who was murdered in 2022. I'd like to begin by quickly introducing each of them to you tonight, beginning with Detective, but now Sergeant Dan Coley. Dan joined the Sheriff's Office in 2006, and he has worked patrol assignments at several Sheriff's Office stations. He was also a field training officer, a school resource deputy, and a Sheriff's HR background investigator. During his tenure with our organization, he has received a number of department awards, recognizing everything from his bravery to his extraordinary work within several different Sheriff's Office units. In 2019, and you'll see a pattern here, he became a detective within our Criminal Investigations Division, which is where he and these other 2 fine investigators, I will describe shortly, came together. He was promoted to Sheriff Sergeant in 2023, and he is doing an awesome job in guiding our future detectives toward that line of work. Detective Ruben Esparza joined the Sheriff's Office in 2003. He's also worked assignments at multiple sheriff stations. He has also been a school resource deputy and a supervising senior deputy on patrol. He has received a number of department awards recognizing his extraordinary work, and he is a prior recipient of the H. Thomas Guerry Award for Superior Performance in 2016. And again, here's the clue. In 2019, he became a detective with our Criminal Investigations Division and joined forces with Dan and our next nominee, Detective Matt Maxwell. Matt joined the Sheriff's Office in 2016 after beginning his public safety career with the Santa Barbara County Probation Department. Matt has worked patrol assignments at several sheriff stations, and he has also received a number of department awards recognizing his extraordinary work. Once again, in 2019, Matt became a detective with our Criminal Investigations Division, and that brings us to the incident. On Friday, May 27, 2022, detectives from our Criminal Investigations Division were called out to a residence in Montecito to investigate a suspicious death. The investigation revealed that 96-year-old Violet Evelyn Alberts had been murdered in her own bed, suffocated with her pillow. Detectives Coley and Ruben Esparza were assigned as the lead detectives on this case. With no suspects and no clear motive for the crime, these detectives began a very tedious and time-consuming task of canvassing all of Montecito for any and all video surveillance and examining everything they could find out about the victim, trying to figure out why someone would want to do her harm. Eventually, our detectives identified possible suspects due to their involvement with a fraudulent reverse mortgage scheme that targeted the victim. This required extensive coordination between our detectives the Santa Barbara County District Attorney's Office, and investigators from LA County. Slowly but surely, our detectives pieced together an incredibly complex web, pursuing many different investigative angles, and they tirelessly pursued those leads and worked to weave everything together and build the sequence of events that led to her death. When Detective Coley was promoted to Sheriff Sergeant midway through the investigation, Detective Maxwell stepped up and moved in and helped keep that investigation moving forward. In total, the investigation spanned 2 years, required the service of over 100 search warrants, 150 interviews, 2,000 investigator surveillance hours, and 5,000 investigator hours of electronic monitoring, all of which came together with the arrest of 5 suspects, individuals who were responsible for Violet's death. And oh, by the way, as is always, this was done while simultaneously keeping and ensuring that their other major cases were moving forward. For their relentless drive, their strategic thinking, and unwavering dedication to pursuing justice on behalf of Violet Evelyn Alberts, we have nominated these awesome representatives of our organization to receive the H. Thomas Guerry Award for Superior Performance.
While we reset here for a minute, I just want to point out that on your program, it talks about the rebroadcast of this event. So it'll be rebroadcast Saturday, May 10th at 5 p.m. and Sunday, May 11th on the Santa Barbara County cable network. However, they also have a YouTube channel. So if there's any of you that have relatives on the East Coast or somewhere that would like to see this, they can go to CSB TV, as it shows here on before the cable 20, CSB TV 20 on YouTube, and you'll be able to pull this up once it's posted there. So something for the rest of the family. So at this time, we're going to shift gears from superior performance and go to our Valor Award winners. Now we have something unique for you this year, and that is we have 4 Valor winners from 4 different agencies in Santa Barbara County. All of them came from one incident. So we gave a real challenge to the chiefs to say, and who's going to do this presentation? How are you going to make this work? They asked me, how would you like it? And I said, however you want to do it is fine with us. So they've worked it out. So we have Under Sheriff Bonner again. And then if we could also have come forward District Attorney Savernock, Chief Christopher Williams from the Santa Maria Police Department, and I'm sorry, California Highway Patrol from Santa Maria, Lieutenant Joseph Rodriguez. And I'd like to welcome Chief Williams from Santa Maria, who is almost into finishing his 2nd week as chief. Thank you, gentlemen. Oh, and then we'd like to call forward, please, Investigator Wayne Flick, Detective Eric Hesch, Officer Brian Hanrahan, and Deputy Christopher Nelson.
So as was mentioned, this is unique. We have 4 different agencies, 4 different officers, but we have a single incident where they came together to save lives. All of these awesome heroes ran towards danger, knowing that it was dangerous. They ran toward it, and they absolutely saved lives working together. And so we're going to kick this off. I'm going to ask that each chief talk about their team member, and then I'm going to come back and tell you how this went down that day. So we'll start with Chief Williams.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Detective Eric Hesch for his valorous conduct that occurred on September 25th, 2024. In addition to the incident and the story that you'll hear by the undersheriff, I wanted to point out a couple of additional facts about Detective Eric Hesh. He was a 2024 Santa Maria Police Department Officer of the Year, and he was selected because of his exceptional dedication, professionalism, and for his heroism. I don't want to steal the thunder of the undersheriff and get in trouble on my second week. So if there's any additional comments that he misses out about the great heroism that Detective Hesh demonstrated, I'll be sure to remind him. So please help me congratulate Detective Hesh for his heroism that he demonstrated on the incident.
It's my pleasure to introduce Wayne Flick. Wayne has been serving the interests of public safety since he graduated from high school. Upon graduating from high school, you did graduate, right, Wayne? Leaving high school, Wayne became and always will be a Marine. Upon leaving active service in the Corps, Wayne became a correctional officer in Arizona, and then we were fortunate enough to have Wayne come to Santa Barbara County, where in 2007, he joined the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office. While at the Sheriff's Office in 2012, Wayne actually received the Guerry Award for Superior Performance. So he is one of a proud and select company of officers, deputies, and investigators who actually will have 2 Guerry Awards. In 2023, we were fortunate enough at the District Attorney's Office to have Wayne come join our efforts to protect public safety.
I get the unique opportunity to introduce Officer Brian Hanrahan. Brian started his career with the Highway Patrol in 2018 and was initially assigned to the San Jose office, where he worked there for about 5 years. We're very fortunate that he transferred to the Santa Maria area in 2023, and he has been a phenomenal resource to us since then. Again, I don't want to steal the thunder of the actual incident, but he is not only a great addition to our office, but he's a great part of our CHP family. So.
And I'm going to introduce you to Extra Help Sheriff's Deputy Chris Nelson. Chris began his law enforcement career in 1985. Yes, that's 40 years ago. Throughout his long career with the Sheriff's Office, Chris has worked a variety of patrol assignments throughout northern Santa Barbara County and as a detective within our Criminal Investigation Division. Of note, Chris is a prior recipient of the Sheriff's Medal of Valor and the H. Thomas Guerry Valor Award for his bravery during an incident wherein he and his partner literally went into the line of fire and stopped a man who was intent on killing a local family in Orcutt. Although Chris retired from full-time service in 2012, he continued working as an extra help deputy sheriff, helping us to overcome our staffing challenges and fulfill our duty to provide the courts and with bailiff services, which is what leads us to this event we're going to talk about. On the morning of September 25th, 2024, the Superior Courthouse in Santa Maria was attacked by what can only be described as a domestic terrorist. An individual who detonated an explosive device within the security screening station of the area of that court facility, injuring several innocent people and striking at the very core of our judicial system. Fortunately, his desire to kill and maim as many people as possible and to disrupt the judiciary was brought to a swift end by the heroics of our 4 local law enforcement officers and a private security guard. While working as a signpost inside the screening station lobby, that day was extra help Sheriff's Deputy Chris Nelson and a private security guard, Stephen Neal, who unfortunately he's moved out of state and wasn't able to be here today. But they were both only feet away when the device exploded, sending a shower of burning material throughout the lobby and filling it with a thick cloud of acrid smoke. Deputy Nelson and Stephen Neal both momentarily took cover in an attempt to protect themselves from the blast, but then rose up and immediately gave chase through the smoke, chasing after the suspect, who was running back toward his vehicle at this point. The vehicle was parked nearby. They caught up with the suspect as he was attempting to enter his vehicle, which, unbeknownst to them, placed the suspect within arm's reach of a loaded rifle, a shotgun, and additional improvised explosives, all of which he had brought with him for the next phase of his attack. They grabbed the suspect, preventing him from getting into the vehicle, and moments later, Deputy Nelson was joined by Santa Maria Police Department Officer Hesh, CHP Officer Hanrahan, and District Attorney Investigator Wayne Flick, each of whom heard the commotion and had knowingly made a decision to run toward the sounds of danger. They collectively worked together to pull the suspect away from his vehicle, get him handcuffed and taken into custody, and thereby preventing him from causing any further harm to anyone present in the courthouse. For their extraordinary bravery in the face of immediate peril and their commitment to protecting the people of Santa Barbara County, Sheriff's Deputy Chris Nelson, Santa Maria Police Department Officer Hesh, CHP Officer Hanrahan, and District Attorney Investigator Flick were nominated to receive this year's Santa Barbara Citizens Council on Crime H. Thomas Guerry Award for Valor. Please join us in congratulating them. They are well-deserving heroes.
Anyone want to come say a few words or anything? That concludes our event today. I think you'll agree with me that Santa Barbara County is a great place to live because we have such excellence in law enforcement protecting all of us. I really feel comfortable here, as do everyone I know, because of these particular recipients, but it's really every member of every department and the leadership that we have within each one of those departments. Thank you all for being here, and let's give them all one more great round of applause. All right, thanks. You want to take some pictures or anything? Go right ahead.